I leave the stage to Priya Sen.
Thank you, Rishabh. Hello. Today we are having. Okay, Swati. This is a discussion on women's health. I think this is a very key part of women empowerment, women independence, because I think women's health is something that doesn't really come out. It's only now that we are focusing on the women really, because earlier on it was just, I think, just preventive health checkups, or when you have temperature, or when the men fall ill. But now I think the women and issues such as menopause, such as fertility are now being talked about in the open, for which is, I have today's panel, because these are key issues that we always discuss on our show also. So I'll begin, Dr. Jayashree, I'll begin with you first. The issue of menopause. Now, a lot of women are now at least talking about the symptoms, because earlier on it was something humko suffer karna hai, suffer in silence. This is what you go through. But now we know that we don't have to suffer. There are ways of avoiding it.
So you have entered the third phase of a woman's life, right bang on. I think it is one of the most important phases of a woman's life, where she has achieved what she has wanted to do, and suddenly she finds that it's very difficult even to have a good sleep, that she is feeling suddenly awake, she is having hot flushes, and she wonders, what have I done wrong? What is it that I am not doing correctly? And I think previously our mothers, I would look at my mother-in-law, and I would think, why did they not complain about these symptoms? And I realized one thing, that they were told that you have to live life this way. I mean, these are symptoms which you accept, and I'm really proud of the fact that women do come to hospitals now, ask for these symptoms. Sometimes I feel that sometimes symptoms also happen because you think everybody is getting it, maybe I am also getting it too, but most of the times these are real symptoms which women feel, and we as doctors hear them out a lot, and it's not just the doctors hearing them, it is also the family that needs to support them, the workplace that needs to support them when they go through this change, and I think we should empower women to talk more about it, more through these discussions also.
Fair enough. Dr. Tanya, you are also, you're a fertility expert, but let's begin with the other end first and then go to the fertility part. On menopause, there are also ways to counter it. We have HRT, we have other, options open to women.
So I think just moving back a little bit, we all talk about menopause, but I think we should go back and talk about the perimenopause as well.
Yeah.
So I know we're talking about the spectrum here, and we're talking about an ongoing spectrum which is different for every woman. So I'll also talk about the younger women now, just like we say menopause should happen much later, in the late 40s and the 50s. Actually, your symptoms can start 10 to 15 years earlier. And I think it's a time where we need to empower everyone here to know that they should be aware of their symptoms and they should come and seek medical help. I think the first thing also comes from our holistic medicine. We are talking about care at a specialty, right? We've got the whole spectrum here, from the physicians to us as a fertility or a reproductive medicine, to we have a gynecologist. We talk about lifestyle, we talk about sleep, we talk about mood. I mean, we're in a conclave full of women, and I think the biggest champions for women are women, just like there are men. So I think just when we say, how do we look at this? First, it's not a taboo. We all go through it. When we talk about it, we find ways and means. For example, what are support groups? One thing may work for me, may not work for someone else. So I may say that for me, exercise, going to the gym has really worked well. For someone in that exercise, it could be weight training, it could be yoga, it could be a particular type of diet, it could be how we're actually working with our body. Now, what are the hormones which are playing up? When we start off as a teenager, going through our spectrum, everything is about our hormones. So how can we play with our hormones to make it better? I think that is the first step. And before anything, I think it's about our lifestyle. It is about not only our food and exercise, it's about our sleep, it's about our work cultures. It's also about our support groups.
Correct.
And I think, kudos again to you for having more such conclaves where we can have a forum where we talk about this openly and literally learn from each other as well. Sometimes it's not just doctors. It's everybody around who actually pitches in and gives us a solution to which may not be centric just on a particular type of medicine. Every medicine has science, be it from the Ayurveda, be it to our medicine, be it to nutrition, be it to sleep, or be it to your girl gang. I think we need to have an integrated medicine.
Very well said. In fact, half the stress goes away when we have a girl gang, which is right here. Your friends are the best medicine, really. But Dr. Geeta, again, on the issue of menopause and perimenopause, are more women, first of all, coming up and talking about these topics? Are they getting support from the men folk at home? Or is it something that men still say, oh, she's menopausal? Is it used as a, literally like a slang word, derogatory term?
Yeah, I think more and more people are actually coming forward, like you said, because it's happening at an age when children are being born later. So the moment the child is a 45 or a 46-year-old lady may come to you and say that, my periods have gone haywire, do you think I'm menopausal? That's the first reaction they have. Right. And I think that is something that they should be aware of. I always say, what is your family history, because usually if the mother menopauses early, the child does as well. But anyway, it's a good thing that people are coming up and saying these things. And the other thing that they come very frequently with is just general dryness, feeling that they are uncomfortable, or also very often they come saying, aches and pains have started, I was perfectly all right before this. So I think when you look at menopause, you have to look at a lot of other things with it. Whether it is bone health, like she said, or whether it is just in general the kind of support that you're getting from the family. Like you just said, people just turn around and say, Arey, she's menopausal. But that's not right. I think this is the time when everyone has to get together and look after the mother instead of the mother looking after everybody all the time. So I think that's one thing we should look at.
Well said.
But I think I'd like to add here, I think men are understanding menopause better now. I see a lot of women coming with their partners also when they have these symptoms. I think the support perspective has changed. Children support their parents through menopause, young girls support their parents through menopause. I think the perspective has definitely changed. It's not that वो गुस्से वाली आंटी है जो सबसे में गुस्से करती है. That aspect has changed for women, and women are being respected for understanding their symptoms and being offered help. I think that is a big change.
Just also, I think women should feel that they need the support. They shouldn't sort of hide it. They should talk about it and say, this is what I'm feeling.
But which is why we're having conversations like this, that it is normal to talk about it. But Monica, there is, there is menopause, and then there is the HRT, the hormone replacement therapy that has come up. Now that's very controversial. Some people say it leads to cancer. Some people say it's very good. What is your take on that? Before I ask the gynecologist.
So Priya, let me put it this way, that men also undergo menopause. So it's called
Thank you for
andropause,
saying that.
okay?
I think big hand
So
for
we
that.
are not the only
Thank
people
you.
who menopause. Men have andropause or a male menopause happening. So whatever goes wrong in life, or whatever mood swings are happening, whatever the anxiety, the stress, the depression, the anger, please don't blame everything on menopause. We are all in the same boat, whether we are men or women. It's more marked in women, but men do undergo menopause or an andropause for one. Second thing is, in terms of the hormone replacement therapy, is something which has been in vogue for a very long period of time, but we've now started to understand the pros and cons of hormone replacement therapy, because a woman who undergoes a young menopause may be a candidate for HRT, But the caveat is that HRT itself is associated with an increase of risk of uterine cancer and breast cancer, and also slightly increases your risk of clots and heart attacks and strokes. So HRT is not something that you can take lightly. It has to be discussed with your doctor and then decided whether you are a candidate for HRT. And now instead of taking tablets in the form of HRT, there are other options which are much safer in the form of gels or in terms of other modalities of HRT, which are much, much safer options. But HRT is not something that you do over the counter. It is something that is to be discussed with your symptoms, with your family history of heart attacks and strokes and cancers, and then you decide whether you need HRT or you don't need HRT in the first place.
And follow it up regularly.
And follow it up regularly. Okay, Tanya.
Can I just add, I think the first step is also prevention. So I think we have a house full of women and men. How many of us regularly come to our doctors and say, I need a regular pap smear, I need my breast screening, I need my overall health check. So I think before we give any form of medical treatment, first is also come and get yourself a complete checkup. Not each of us is same. So as Dr. Monica said, your risk factors are different. So for some, the HRT may be absolutely the right thing and you are the right candidate. But for some, you may not be. But there are so many taboos and so many myths associated that I think, first of all, it's absolutely fine if you need HRT to take HRT, but just take it in the right manner with your right person. And really, gynecologists are not scary. Doctors are not scary. Come and have a conversation. Come and get yourself assessed. How many of us come regularly to say, right, it's time for me to come and get myself assessed? We come to the hospital when we are sick. We should start coming to the hospital to get an overall assessment. And I think that would be the first step to actually, yes. And then take it forward to say, which treatment is best for me? Even something as simple as a magnesium can help you. It doesn't have to only be an HRT. What about your calcium, your vitamin D? What about your vitamin B12? What are we eating? When we talk to our younger generation, are we aware that our peak bone mass is actually at an age where you're in your 20s and your 30s? So are you exercising enough? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? And what about the other things which are easily available, be it alcohol, be it vaping, be it smoking, be it weed? I'm a mother of kids who I know have access to it openly. We have to sit as parents and actually talk to our kids to tell them, your health is your biggest investment.
And what you eat today is going to have an effect on you 20 years later.
Absolutely.
But before we end, I also want to do one
HRT.
quick round on Ozempic and Mounjaro. I know it's out of syllabus, but this is something that everybody wants to know, that do these weight loss drugs, do they have an impact on your muscle? Is it mass? Because now we are having people just taking it for 2 months to lose weight. There are bridal packages of Ozempic and Mounjaro. So what are the dangers and the positives?
So I think Dr. Monica will be prescribing it more. But my take is work on your health first. See what are the things that you can do to work on your health, and then go for shortcuts. I mean, they have their own benefits, and Dr. Monica will be able to throw a big highlight on that, I
just want to
feel.
say one thing. You know, they have to realize that it is not a quick solution. It's a slow solution that you have to sort of get into and follow. They feel that abhi weight loss ho gaya, and then they put on weight again, and then they're in depression. Then it goes the other way. You put on weight again. So of course Monica will give you the gen on
Monica,
it.
you're Dr. Mounjaro, I'm told.
Okay, Priya, so what you need to understand is कि हमारे brain में 2 centers हैं जो हमारे eating behavior को control करते हैं. There is a satiety center and there is a pleasure center called the hedonic center. So the hedonic center is the badmash wala center which is telling me आज समोसे खा लो, आज कचौरी खा लो, आज चाट खा लो. So what Ozempic and Mounjaro are doing is they are suppressing the appetite at the level of the satiety center and they are stopping the cravings at the level of the hedonic center ताकि आपका मन ही नहीं करे कि आप गलत मलत खाना खाओ. अब उसके साथ साथ हम वेट लॉस तो कर लेंगे बट प्रॉब्लम 2 है. अगर आप सफिशिएंट प्रोटीन नहीं खाते हो, सिर्फ कैलोरीज कट डाउन करते हो, तो वेट लॉस तो हो जाएगा बट मसल्स भी सारी खत्म हो जाएंगी. सो वो जो आपको लटके हुए चेहरे और पूरा वेस्टेड इंसान नजर आएगा, वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने मोंजारो और ओजेम्पिक तो लिया बट प्रोटीन खाना भूल गए. सो ओजेम्पिक एंड मोंजारो विल ओनली वर्क इफ यू एक्सरसाइज and you make sure that you're taking protein in every meal on every plate. The second challenge, Priya, is that आप कब तक लोगे Ozempic और Mounjaro? So दिक्कत यह है कि आपने 3 महीने ले लिया शादी की तैयारी के लिए, आपने 1 साल ले लिया वेट लूज करने के लिए, आपने 2 साल ले लिया, बट उसके बाद क्या? The moment you stop it, most of the weight will come back. So the only way to prevent that weight from coming back is that you are so disciplined with your diet and exercise that when you get off Mounjaro or Ozempic, your lifestyle has become so good and so disciplined that you're able to sustain that weight loss. So it's a quick fix solution, but it's not a permanent solution. And again, you have to discuss with your doctor and take it because of serious side effects. You can't go to your beauty parlor and take a Ozempic and Mounjaro. It has to be given by the doctor with a prescription.
Very well said. I think totally well said. Before we have one quick one answer is, what is the ailments that you come across the most in women today? I know you in terms of your profession.
So, by age, if young women, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which we call polymetabolic syndrome now, with the between 30s to 40s, they come for fertility, and in the later age group, sometimes it is cancer. And in the older age group, I see a lot of cancer. So it also changes with age. It's not completely secluded, but these are the things that women commonly come for.
Okay, quick short answer, Tanya.
I think for me as a reproductive medicine specialist, we see women holistically. It's not just about her periods and about having a baby. Often when you do a deep dive, it is also about how she's struggling with other aspects. It could be her skin, it could be her hair, it could be her bones, it could be her family. And at the end of the day, I think when we look at a woman, I don't think we should be segregating. It's, as a doctor, we need to give her the complete care of whatever is important
really
to
out
her.
of time, yeah.
I think I'm being a general physician, I come across all kinds of people, but I think it's mainly now I'm finding more and more women are getting things like blood pressure problems, stress-related problems, sleep problems, which earlier were not so much in the day. Maybe it's just the kind of jobs they are doing.
And the lives we lead. Final quick answer from you, Monica.
Just one message to all the women who are above 40 in the audience. Please do a breast self-examination. Get your breasts examined by your doctor and get a mammography done. And by any chance, if you have a strong family history of breast cancer, you start doing this at the age of 25 and don't wait for 40. You're hearing of so many horror stories of women getting breast cancer at a young age. If they are genetically predisposed, then please start early. But as a routine, it's very easy to use your hand and examine your breast. Tell your doctor to examine the breast on every visit to the doctor. And please get your regular mammographies done. It's the most important message for today that I can give.
In fact, we have a Namo Shakti app, which is started by our founder Kartikeya Sharma, who's also an MP, and it's a mobile van which goes to all the rural areas and the villages, which I will also would like you to take a look at after this. But thank you so much for this conversation.
Can I just say one thing to everyone? That although we are in age and we say age doesn't define us, but please, age is the most important thing for a woman and her fertility. So when a woman, even if she is in her late 20s and early 30s, talks about irregular cycle, it is not only PMOS or polycystic ovaries, it could be your age is declining. So remember, if you are thinking fertility, if you are thinking egg freezing, to all the women out here, please start early. Please meet your doctor, get aware, get educated, and then make your decisions, because that would be one thing you're empowering yourself with. At the right time, seek the right intervention. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much to all our doctors for joining us for this very, very educative session. Thank you so much, Priya Sehgal, for leading this conversation. But with that, I take a moment to now announce our next session, which will be led by my colleague Uday Pratap Singh. Uday, request you to join us on stage to have a conversation with Miss Kriti Kharbanda. an actor who joins us to discuss the next milestones for women. Let's have a huge round of applause for our next guest. Let's keep that applause rolling, please. We have with us Kriti Kharbanda, who joins us for a quick chat.